Royal Flying Doctor Service provide extraordinary services to Australians across a whole range of rural and remote areas, every year delivering thousands and thousands of services. And what they've done is analysed some data that was released by the Commonwealth Government and found that in some 15 areas across Australia, there's actually no access to psychologists at all. So in those regions, there are simply no psychologists for GPs to refer on to. And this, I guess, is illustrative of the sort of crisis that we see across mental health services across the country, where various parts of the system are inadequately funded and various parts of the system aren't well connected to each other, so people don't experience good service. There's often a perception that rural and remote mental health is worse than it is in other parts of the country, but we actually track the incidence of mental health issues as being pretty similar across a whole range of communities. The dramatic difference is that people in those rural and remote areas get much less access to services, so can often access services at something like 20% of the rate of their metropolitan brothers and sisters. But similarly, we see in the suicide rate that in some areas it can be as high as 40% more, in some areas double the suicide rate. So we're really seeing the implications of poor access to services playing out in tragedy in people's lives. I think there's no question that this government is committed to addressing mental health issues. Both the Prime Minister and the Minister for Health have expressed that commitment, and we've heard the Minister for Health say that mental health will want to be one of the 4 pillars of the health system moving forward. We've seen some investment by the Commonwealth Government, so we've seen them invest in telemedicine services to help to improve access to services for rural and remote people. In the last budget, we saw the government invest $80 million to promote psychosocial support services, but that funding hasn't yet been matched by state and territory governments, and I think there will be increasing pressure on state and territory governments to come to the table when the Commonwealth do put money on the table.
Frank Quinlan there, and if you need information or support, you can contact Beyond Blue on 1300 22 46 36, or if you or someone you know is experiencing distress, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14.